Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. That's right, coming to you from my basement. What are we doing today? Well, I'm glad you asked. If the title doesn't explain it, I'll tell you straight up. I'm going to be looking at my Ludum Dare, or Ludum Dare, framework from last time and making some adjustments to it. So that's what this stream is all about. Just a chill stream. Just a nice chill stream. We don't have to get into a big hurry or get all stressed. That comes later. Later this weekend, starting on Friday. And I believe this one on Friday, Ludum Dare 49, I think it starts at 6 p.m., which is good for me. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's my standard time. So that works out real good for me. They switch them. It starts at 6, then it starts at 9, and starts at 6. It just goes back and forth. So with that, without further ado, I have a project, or a project, if you're from Canada, that I pulled up, just a blank project, and I'm going to pull in my Ludum Dare framework for last time, and just going to go double click on that and it'll pull in the package. I'll tell it to import everything, and we'll just take a look and see what we have. There's my theme script. I don't know why it's not active. That's interesting. What I want to look at is this dialogue menu script. So we're calling it a menu. Okay. All right. I understand. What I want to do is redo this. CodeMonkey came up with a sort of a different, just a simple menu that he did. You can look at it. It's on his YouTube channel. It's simple, but instead of using callbacks for when the menu was, or when the dialogue was hidden or shown, he would just have an action attached to each button. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I want to do that. So basically, that's what I want to do here. So we'll create a menu, so to speak. And instead of TMP text, I want text finish pro you GUI. Oops. Protected. So that's where the title goes, and let's do it like this because there's no need to. I prefer with just one attribute. I like this better. It flows better for me. I like it much better. So let's also create a, and we really don't have to say protected. It's private by default. Do I want to do protected? No, I want to do private for now. We'll derive a modal from this as well. So text miss pro. No, come on. Actually, this will be just a plain old game object, and we'll call this the button container. We like button containers. And I want to know if we want to focus first button. And we'll say, normally we do focus the first button. And I also want to store what I would call, and I don't want to show it, so hide an inspector. Vector 2, I will call it pop-up position. That's where this this menu will pop up on the screen. And let's see, what else do we have? The veil will be later. That will be in the modal. The regular menus won't have a veil. I'll tell you though, most of the time I use menus, it's usually with a modal, which would have a veil behind it. Basically, the veil just serves so that it blocks all the raycasts and you can't click anything behind a particular menu or dialogue that you're looking at. That's basically what it is. We'll have a list of buttons. We'll get those at run when we load everything up. We will also want a few properties. We'll call one visible, the boolean, and we'll say get in private let. Do it like that. We'll do the same thing with the title. That's a string. That's a get, and we'll get the title.text, and set will be title.text equals the value. So just in case you want to set the title, if you want, you can do that. We'll do the same thing for message. The message of the box. So we'll do usually like that. And I want to get a little bit more complicated here, so we're gonna pull this into a full getter and setter. Because what I want to do is and this is just, I don't know, it's over scope, I'm sure. But I want to say if string let's just do this way. Message equals null. Then return string.empty. Otherwise, return message.text. And we'll do set here. We'll say if message equals null, debug.warn message text is not set for this menu, else we'll set it. And the more I think about menu, I don't like menu. I think we should call it dialogue. If I could spell. Well, dialogue. That makes more sense. So we also want to be able to get pop-up position to up position. That's going to be pop position. I want to put that down here though. Actually, let's put it right here since it's one of the smaller ones. Let's add a region. All the properties, and we'll encapsulate those properties like that. And I don't want these things anymore. We don't need that. In fact, let's rid ourselves of all of these items. Okay. Now when we awake, we need to check the button container. Because we're dependent upon that now. We must have a button container. Let's be nicer. A button. Let's say it like that. Yeah. Otherwise, say, let's get the buttons from the button container. So we'll just do this. Button container dot get components in children of type button. And that'll be our buttons, you see? So we'll do one or the other. And I happen to have some of, let's see, if, okay, so now we do, I'll do the same thing for the message. Let's not do the message. The title really is the one that we really should have a title of some sort. We can set it to nothing, but I'm not gonna make you have a message object. So I want to allow this thing to initialize first, and then I will call hide on it, of course, which does not exist yet. So we'll generate a method called hide. And I probably want to make that virtual. Because we will probably, will override that whenever we create a modal dialog. So what I want to be able to do is a couple things. I want to be able to public void set text, and I want to be able to set just a bunch of text strings, and we'll just, those are the button labels basically. So if the labels are null, then that's an error. We'll just say that, and then we'll do else. Actually, let's return from here. And then we'll say, basically, if the labels.length is greater than the number of buttons we have, then we'll do this. Dialog has buttons length buttons. Not enough. Set labels. That is an error. But even though it's an error, we will still resize the array, the labels array, to be the size of buttons.length. We'll still continue, but that's an error. Just to let the user know that there's not enough buttons to do what he wants to do. So we'll go on and resize those. So then what we need to do is we need to take and run through the button labels, or the labels, I'm sorry, labels. And for each button, we'll set its game object to true. We'll enable it, in other words. And what we want is we want the text object will be buttons.i get component in children. And that's going to be a I never can remember the name of this stupid thing. Textmas Pro GUI.
we're just going to assume that's there. And that's going to equal to labels of I. So we're setting those. And then if we have any left over, that would be I equals labels.length. So in other words, if there are any buttons left over, do buttons.length. Then we will take those buttons and we will set them to false. We will set them to be inactive. Right? No active buttons. 0. So we can call this set the text, and then we're good. We are good to go. And now I'd say we have a couple things. We have this protected virtual void hide, and of course we're going to have a protected. It's not really protected. We're going to be able to call this. I'm sorry. It should be public. A public. And a public. We want to be able to override this one as well, especially for our modal. And we'll call this a show. And what I want to be able to do I want to tell it where I want it to pop up. Just in case I want to change it. And I want to tell it if I want to change the message, I want to be able to do that here. And also I want to take this function. Actually, let's call this one void. And then I want a public virtual void, and I want to just have this. So what we'll do with this one is we'll just go ahead and make an implementation of it. We'll just say show, and then we already have a pop-up position, one that's saved in the class. And then we will tell it to go for the message. And then we'll say, first of all, if we're already visible and you're telling us to show, then just return. We're not going to do anything if that's the case. Now, if the message is not equal to null, then the message this message, come on, message equals MSG. Right? And additionally, I think when we show it for the first time, if that focus first button is on, then we want to take that first button and we want to select it. And that's helpful if you want to use keyboard, or if you want to use a joystick to select your menu buttons and press them and whatnot. And then additionally, we also need to set the position to the pop-up position, which would be this. So what we need to do first is we need to get a rect transform, and we can do that by saying transform as rect transform. Now we have a rect transform, and we want to set the anchored position equal to pop-up position. And we also want to set the dialog to be active. We want to enable it. And then that also means that we want to set visible equals to true. So we're showing that. That's wonderful. Now, if we want to hide, what we'll say is if not visible. If it's not visible, then we're not going to do anything. But otherwise, we set the game object to false. So we hide it away where no one can see it, where no one knows it's there. We'll also set the visibility to false, just the visible flag, so we can check it. And actually, so what we're going to have is do this public void. We'll call it set callbacks. So this will be a callbacks for each button. We will have a matching callback function. So this will be an action, just a delegate with no parameters. We'll call them callbacks. If I can spell right. That's always my problem is spelling. At least typing. I know we don't want to say. Typing. When we set callbacks, we want to do a for each loop and remove any callbacks, any basically the on click, the non-persistent. We want to remove all listeners from that. So any previous ones we want to just get rid of. Doing house cleaning. It's all house cleaning. Now, if the callbacks are null, well, that just won't do. We can't have that. We must have some callbacks. So I think that should be an error. Otherwise, how do you know anything that it's not gonna, or should, is that? Maybe we don't really need to have that check there. I'm gonna comment that out so we come back to that later. But we do know if the callbacks, the length of the callbacks is greater than the buttons, then we definitely want to tell whoever has done something like this. We want to say something like, Dialog has buttons.length buttons not enough to set callbacks.length callbacks. And that's an error. My stream health is poor. I apologize for that so very, very much. I'm going to keep going. So then we want to resize the array, the callbacks array. We're gonna resize it to be the size of the button array, just like we did with the strings. So in other words, we're going to give an error, but we will continue, you know, and then we'll say for Isaac to. We do need this if, don't we? Let's just return here. For now, we'll just return. Come on. Am I still poor? Serious issues that need attention. It's like I can do something from this side. Like I can turn a dial or a knob, press a button, and have it work right. I mean, it's nice for YouTube to tell me, but it's like, oh, here we're back, okay. First of all, it's like YouTube's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth. As such, viewers will experience buffering. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for your buffering. I'm sorry for your loss of data. All right, so the stream is better now. The stream's health is returned. I guess it got vaccinated. So now what we need to do is go through the callbacks, and we need to, and here's the other thing, is since we're going to create a lambda function, we need to create like an intermediate variable. If you do this, if you stick callbacks of I inside what I'm about to do, it will not work, because we need to it will wrap all this and store this in a temporary variable. Oh no, we're back to poll. Sorry people. Add a listener, And then that's going to be, I'm going to tell it to hide, and then I'm going to tell it to use the callback, just like that. And so that means that we need to have here a callback in our function, and so that when we would say callback invoke, no joke. Oh, yeah. I think that's good. Just checking my stream is pouring in. YouTube is fussing at me.